We're here. We have no technical issues for a change. We're sorry about Tuesday. Believe it. I know you're going to be shocked. I had technical problems once again.
But it wasn't anything that you did. You couldn't help it.
No, we lost our internet. Our modem died. We had to get a new internet. And Renee and Donna were very nice enough to postpone it and come back on Thursday. So I'm Barbara Wallace. I'm a best-selling romance author. I'm here today with Donna Allward and Renee Ryan, my partners in crime. Say hello, ladies. Tell everyone who you are.
Hello. I'm in, well, it's not quite as sunny now because, evening, but Nova Scotia, and I've written a whole crap ton of romance novels. I'm pivoting into historical fiction.
That's the official amount, crap ton.
Yeah, a crap ton. Well, I always lose count anyway. So anyway, I'm working on, I know, whatever. I'm working on a historical now that I'm super excited about. And I got words today and it was so lovely. And I wrote them outside. I love summer.
Yay. There you go. So, how about you, Renee? How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm just digging in. I'm writing. I guess, what should I say? What do I do? I'm a best-selling, #1 Amazon best-selling author of historical romance. And then I did the pivot a couple of books ago into historical fiction. No more romance for me. And I am about to turn in my 3rd contracted historical romance historical fiction. See, I can't even remember at this point. It's been that kind of 2 years, a lot of deadlines. I'm super excited. Obviously, you can see my first historical fiction was The Widows of Champagne. The next one, The Secret Society of Salzburg, say that 10 times fast, is coming out very soon. And I'll be putting up a lot of information about how to get early copies and sort of when to start talking about it. And it's exciting. I'm excited.
We're very excited for it.
Thank you.
Okay. We are still on weddings. We did.
It is. It's June. It's wedding month.
June. We did Piper Hewley's Buy Our Own Design, which is now out, and people are buying it, and it's getting tons of great reviews. Mm-hmm. Last time I looked, I don't think she has anything under 4 stars. It's a fantastic read. And then we did The Wedding Veil by Kristen Woods and Harvey. And Kristen Woods and Harvey. I did it right. Harvey. And that too is a great beach read. So we recommend that one as well. And I didn't check to see, but I think it's climbing up the charts. That came out around the same time, I think. Last week.
First came out in the spring. I think that one came out a little bit longer ago, but it's 2 totally different books for sure.
Very.
Yeah.
Totally different books, and yet both kind of centered around weddings.
And the South, which is.
And the South, and 2 different, very Southern fiction.
Yes.
Well,
very different Southern experiences.
I mean, quite the dichotomy between the 2.
Right.
So we thought we'd continue with weddings today and talk iconic weddings. When's the last time you guys went to a wedding?
Right before the pandemic. Actually, the front end, February 29th, it was a leap year of 2020. So it was when people were just talking about the pandemic, but the world had not shut down yet. And we went to Beaufort, South Carolina for a very large, crazy wedding. I think half the people were sick and nobody knew why.
Nice.
Yeah.
Been a really long time for me.
Like your own?
No, but just, some stories that just shouldn't be shared.
Oh,
wait. Alcohol is involved.
Alcohol's always involved. So instead of the last wedding I was to, the wedding I'm most looking forward to is my oldest's best friend is getting married next May.
Oh.
And AJ's in the wedding. And I'm super excited because Chelsea is like another kid to me. Like she was here all the time when the kids were growing up. So I'm super happy. And so I'm looking forward to seeing Chelsea and crying a lot.
I'm actually crushed that Donna doesn't remember the last wedding that we went to.
Oh my God. Okay. Sorry. Okay.
That was our friend Shirley Jump.
Yes.
And Donna and I were dates at that.
Like a month ago.
And you got on an airplane for it.
I did.
And bought clothing for it.
We both did.
We did.
While you were sick.
I was super sick.
You were. So yes, I guess, Barb, yes, that was technically the last wedding. I was thinking there has to be another one. It hasn't been that long.
Shirley Jump, to you. We love you. Donna doesn't, but Renee and Barb do.
Donna does. Donna does.
And if you want a really good, another good beach read, The Marvelous Monroe Girls by Shirley Jump.
Yes.
Is out.
Yes.
With a great, perfect beach read.
Yes.
All right, so let's talk weddings.
Okay.
Weddings that we didn't attend, but were very historical.
Okay.
So.
All right. Who's going to go first? Renee?
Renee, we'll let Renee go first.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I will pull up some slides. We'll do the
She'll
slides.
make me look bad because you remember the night that I had the visual aids and Renee's like, oh, sure, you guys have visual aids. Well, this time Renee's like, I got slides. And I'm like, oh, crap.
I have an entire presentation. You can go ahead. Give me a grade.
It's your turn.
All
So,
right.
before Charles and Diana, before William and Kate, even before Harry and Meghan, there was the fairy tale wedding of the modern era. And that was between the actress, there she is, Grace Kelly, and Prince Rainier III of Monaco. And they were married in April of 1956. She was the whopping old age of 26 years old. It was 1 year after she had won her first and only Oscar. And we'll get into that in a minute. But if you look at that dress, that was her in Monaco, and it is called the Napoleonic Code of Monaco. By law, every person is required to be married twice in two separate, I guess it's two separate ceremonies. The first is civil, the second is religious and Roman Catholic. And it's basically the laws of the Roman Catholic Church has to be separated from the laws of the state. And the first wedding, as you see, that's her first wedding dress. And that one is, that was the civil wedding. And after that wedding, she was then she immediately became, as soon as they said I do, Her Serene Highness Princess Grazia Patricia of Monaco. So that was when she got the title. She did not become a wife until the second ceremony, which was in the Roman Catholic Church. And he put the ring on her finger. There was no ring, no exchanging of rings or anything like that at the first ceremony. That was when, at the Catholic ceremony, the Roman Catholic Church, that was when she actually became the prince's wife. And just a little fun fact about Prince, and I had to look up how to say his name, and it's Rainier, like Rainier the Third. And he is the prince, as we all know, of Monaco, which is a small, sensationally wealthy principality, a city-state. It is as big as, it's 370 acres. That's it. That's how big the realm is. 20,000 subjects at the time, and he held 139 titles when he married.
Wow. Sorry.
I mean, let's just keep collecting them.
Overkill.
A little bit overqualified to be the prince. He was considered like this huge ladies' man, and then they met at the Cannes Film Festival, which is, I looked it up on the map, and I should have sent you that too. It's 57 minutes from Monaco. So there's both on the, if you're looking at the French Riviera facing into the Mediterranean, facing Italy, Cannes is southern, and Monaco is just like a little bit farther north, 55 kilometers north. And so let's talk about the second dress. You want to share the second dress? Okay.
There we go.
That veil that's the front of the veil. And she chose not to have a tiara. That is what they call a Juliet cap. And she didn't want to wear a tiara. And the actual veil in the back was 3 feet long. So it was a nice long one. And I don't think you have a picture of the back. I don't think I sent that to you.
No, I don't think you did either. We have the full dress. I'll show you that.
There you go. So then that's right afterwards, and see all the deacon that married them. So yes, very, very lot of pomp and circumstance. And her wedding presents ranged from, she got a Rolls Royce. So that would be maybe on the high end, I'm thinking, was the Rolls Royce. And then on the other end, it was like this gold and bone hatchet. And it was, all these different kings and queens and rulers across the world gave her all kinds of wedding gifts. So really, really interesting. And because there were so many people that sort of descended onto Monaco, I find this so incredibly ironic because there were a bunch of jewel thieves. And so many of the guests, especially the females, had jewelry stolen during the wedding or during the wedding weekend. And I'm thinking, wasn't she in How to Catch a Thief or To Catch a Thief?
Yeah, with Cary Grant.
Cary Grant. Set in Monaco, wasn't it? Or set in the
Yes, I think that the road that she drives on in that movie is the same road that she suffered a stroke and crashed the car.
Yes. And so she died. She was 26 years old. She lived 26 more years and she died on that same road. Yes. And her daughter, Stephanie, was in the car with her. There's still a lot of questions around her death. But they're pretty sure now that and having had a stroke in the car myself, I can see how that's what happened is they think she had a stroke when she was driving and then just kind of catapulted over. And she's so fortunate. Stephanie's so fortunate that she was not killed. And I don't know if she was thrown from the car or what, but she wasn't.
I don't remember. She was very young. So
yeah, the daughter. And so Grace Kelly was an actress, as we know. So she was the precursor to Meghan Markle. And she was a super popular actress in Hollywood. When she won the Academy Award, this is so amazing to me. When she won the Academy Award, guess who she beat out? She beat out, and let me make my little list here, Judy Garland. And Judy Garland was up for the award for A Star is Born. She beat out Audrey Hepburn, who was up for Sabrina. She beat out Dorothy Dandridge, who was in Carmen Jones. And fun fact, Dorothy Dandridge was the first Black woman to ever be nominated for an Oscar. And then the other person she beat out was Jane Wyman in, I think it was Magnificent Obsession, I think was the name. And the movie she was in was with Bing Crosby, and he played an alcoholic, her husband, and she was the wife, and it was called The Country Girl. And of all those movies listed, I've seen every one of them but The Country Girl.
Yeah, same here.
No, but there was a lot of controversy because Judy Garland was in the hospital at the time, and they had a whole camera crew waiting for her to accept the award. While she was in the hospital, they were in the hospital waiting to turn on the lights and the camera because they were convinced she was going to win it. But so it was huge controversy that Grace Kelly won. And the other part of the controversy was that it was quite the popularity contest because I guess nobody in Hollywood liked Judy at this point because she was already having lots of those. She had bad alcoholism, and Judy was considered very much of a wild card. Like sometimes they could film, sometimes they couldn't. She was
I think she had slit her wrist or her throat at some point.
Yes. Yeah. She had tried to kill herself. And so I can't remember why she was in the hospital at the time, but it was quite the upset was when she won. And it was also considered that it was because she was the most liked. And, of course, that's a lot of speculation. I don't know if we'll ever know the truth. For my time, I wasn't born yet, so I can't weigh in on that one. But after she married him, there was no more movies. Prior to that, I think she had done, and I had it listed somewhere, she had been in 60 television shows and something like 25 or 30 movies. And she had, in 6 years, she started at 19, and by 26, her career was over because she married him. And her only job after that was to have babies. And she, I guess, really had a hard time transitioning because she really missed Hollywood. And final fun fact, and then we'll go on to the next person. Do you have any more pictures that I see?
I think that those are the ones.
Okay, that you picked out. Okay.
Yeah, I know you sent me a lot, and it was hard because
I'm sorry.
Well, no, it's just that she's beautiful and all.
And actually, if you want
I might have one more.
if you want to go through the collection of her photos of their wedding, I mean, show everything from when they were doing the wedding prayers in the church. All you have to do is just Google Grace Kelly wedding, and the Life. There you go. The Life magazine will come up with, and there's like this whole bevy of photos. But see, here you can see in that picture, you can see the length of the veil. Oh, one last thing. And she started a trend. Instead of having a huge bouquet of flowers, she carried a Bible down the aisle. And then in the other hand, she had like this really small sprig.
Yep, there you go. You can see it right there.
Yeah, an itty bitty sprig of, I think it was Lily of the Valley.
I was going to say it looks like Lily of the Valley.
That's what it was that she carried. And
it's funny. My mom was married in 1955, and her dress, if I remember right, because she used to keep it in one of the spare room closets upstairs, and of course I used to go up and try it on. It was so scratchy, but it was the strapless bodice underneath with the lace jacket over top and the high neck, like that. Just, and then her veil, it wasn't a Juliet cap, but it was very much like that same length. Yeah, it just reminds me of that.
She created quite the trend with this. Oh, and the final thing is that the woman that designed her dress, and this is kind of, since we were talking about the dresses that were designed by Anne Lowe, this one was actually designed by, I think her name was Helen. I have it written down here. Helen Rose, and she had won the same year that Grace Kelly won the Oscar for acting. Helen Rose won the Oscar for costume design, and she had designed a lot of Grace's clothes, and so then she was who Grace tapped to design her wedding dress and her both wedding dresses. And if you look at the first wedding dress, you can see it is very 1955, which I adore.
I did too.
I just adore that. Just look at, with the smaller waist and kind of the fit and flare, just super elegant and classy. She's just so pretty, just beautiful.
She was a beautiful woman.
And she was known for her style long before she met him. And they met at the Cannes Film Festival. And they were in a photo shoot together, and I can't remember why they ended up together, but that was how they met. And then they married a year later.
Very cool. Yeah, wasn't it? He was like pursued her very heavily, I believe.
Yes, he did. And go figure. I mean, all you got to do is look at her. And it's interesting because he was such a playboy. I'm sure she was very resistant. Her father, she had a $2 million dowry. And all the articles that I found called her father middle class, and he gave her a dowry of $2 million in 1955. He owned some sort of a brick construction company and was very successful. And he had also won 3 gold medals in the Olympics in sculling.
Yep.
So, but when you're looking at Monaco wealth versus that, it really is very upper middle class, but definitely middle class at the time. So yeah, it was very much kind of like Kate Middleton and William, how they talk about she was middle class.
She was middle class by like they were self-made millionaires as versus
a lot of money. It's very similar, very similar. And that is Grace Kelly and Prince Rainier.
All right. So let's move back a little bit in time. Donna. Yours. Donna also has visual aids.
Just a couple. But I've got some. I have live visual aids. Ooh. So since it's Jubilee year, I thought, why not talk about Princess Elizabeth's, because she was not queen yet. She was still a princess when she married Philip. And part of the reason why I wanted to do this too was last fall when was it fall or February? It was either last fall or when we went through and we cleaned the rest of the stuff out of my mom's apartment when she moved in with my brother. We were going through a cedar chest and I found this. And can you pop the picture back out, Barb, so that
I can.
Yeah. So this is a little bigger. So this is a keepsake. It is Princess Elizabeth's wedding day. And my mom got this when I opened it up. It says, it's got her name in it. And then it says like Class B Teachers College. So she was still in Teachers College when this happened. And the wedding happened in 1947.
Okay.
So mom would have been, okay, just a minute.
You got 10 fingers, count it out.
Right. How could you, it must have come out, so this must have come out afterward, because in 1947 my mother would only have been 14 and she clearly was not at Teachers College until she was 18. So this would have been something that came out afterward.
Okay.
It doesn't have a publishing date inside, but it does have like a whole description of the wedding, an eyewitness account by Collie Knox. And then there's so many pictures inside.
Oh.
Right?
He
Like
was a handsome booger.
Yeah, he was.
He was. Let me see if I can pick out some things here.
Well, and while you're looking, I remember the Kate Quinn book, the Rose Code. One of the heroines was one of his first girlfriends.
Yes.
Or the right before the wedding girlfriend.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, next to the wedding is a plot point in there.
Yes.
Right. Oh, here we go. I like this one.
Oh, that looks like the official one. That's good.
Yeah.
Love that one.
And then there's a picture of the king and queen. There's a picture from the balcony.
Mm.
And take a look at this cake.
Wow.
Right? Like there's pillars, like it's huge.
That's like 2 stories.
Well, the guy's standing beside it and he's like the second layer comes to the top of his head. So it's like ginormous. Anyway, and then this is the wedding party. So she had 8 bridesmaids. And all of their dresses were sort of echoed what hers were. So the embroidery patterns were the same. And let me see what else.
Did they say how many people went to that wedding or gathered outside the balcony?
I don't know how many, but I can tell you that over 200 million people listened to it on the radio. Wow. And for 1947, that number just blew me away.
Yeah.
This is a picture of them on their honeymoon.
I've seen that one.
Like, it's just so lovely. So here's what I know about the wedding. A Cole's notes, or I guess Spark notes. What do you guys have in the US?
Yeah, we have Spark and Cliff Notes.
Okay, Cliff Notes. Okay, because here it was always Cole's notes.
Okay.
Crazy Canadians. So the wedding was in Westminster Abbey, and the Archbishop of Canterbury, of course, presided over the wedding. So when you think about it, this is 1947, so it's only 2 years after the war. And London had the hell beat out of it during the war. So when you think about it, so here's a neat fact. Fabric was still being rationed. And she had to use rationing coupons to get the silk for her dress. She was given 200 extra coupons for her dress. And then some of her, now one place I read it said other women, and then one place I read said her friends, but tried to give her rationing coupons, but that was against the law, so she couldn't accept them. But anyway, she was clearly given enough coupons to make her dress. And so in this little keepsake, that Collie Knox sort of eyewitness account thing, there was a line that really stuck with me. When you think about it being only 2 years after VE Day, and it says, there came a new feeling of hope and surging faith, not less so to every man, woman, and child standing in the crowded streets of a battered and rejoicing London. And I just thought, like 2 years ago, they were also, in a battered and rejoicing London. I just thought that was a little bit of neat symmetry.
Well, I think that kind of explains why so many people turned out for the Jubilee.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it.
How beloved she is, and I think it's because she represented hope for so long for that country.
Right.
It was a new era. I mean, she represented stepping into the new era.
Yeah. So by custom, there were no flowers on the altar, but there were 2 sort of big urn maybe type things on the side. And the writer noted that there was, despite there being, I mean, there's, who's going to get invited to the future queen's wedding? It's not going to be Joe Blow off the street. It's going to be dignitaries and nobility. But said that the writer noted the feeling of family and intimacy, even though it was a very, sort of officious kind of moment. The best man was the Marquess of Milford Haven. And Philip had, so dashing in his uniform, 5 rows of his ribbons, his medal ribbons, and then the Order of the Garter, which he'd been awarded. So he was knighted. And they described him as allied to good looks and a supple figure, which just cracked me up a little bit. And then as I'm reading through, I'm like, okay, now we're getting to the dress. And there are 4 pages missing from the inside of this little keepsake. And it's the dress. But never fear. I mean, there are lots of places to find things out. And so she had orchids in her bouquet. And you can probably bring that up again, Barb, if you want.
I love She was bossing me around. Here we go.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so her bouquet is orchids. She had 8 bridesmaids led by Margaret. For the hymn, she had The Lord is My Shepherd, which was a particular favorite of hers. And then, so when they go to sign what we would consider signing the register, signing the official documents, they actually go into a different room. And so they were gone a really long time. And when they came back, it wasn't in, from what I can understand, it wasn't in sort of the schedule of the ceremony or part of the ceremony. But she stopped in front of the king and queen and affected this beautiful curtsy to them, which was just kind of a lovely moment. The first part of their honeymoon they spent at the Mountbatten country estate called Broadlands, which I know we don't have a whole lot of thing here, but it's that house right there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so let's go out to the country for a little
cottage out there, yeah.
Right. So and then as far as the dress, it was designed by Norman Hartnell, who had been doing a lot of designing for the royal family. And so it had Chinese silk. And one of these things described a high neckline, but it really wasn't. It's more of a sweetheart neckline. And with a tailored bodice, long sleeves, and a train. And the train was, again, differing information, but most places said 13 feet long. Other places said 15 feet long. And then in the book, I think maybe, or it was another place, it was a short train. And I'm thinking 13 feet ain't a short train, dude. But just saying. And it was all hand embroidered. And Hartnell didn't even, I mean, this all happened like 3 months before the wedding, which is not a lot of time to put together a gown like that with all of this hand embroidery. It had crystals and 10,000 seed pearls. And the embroidery, like if you look, it's all flowers, roses, jasmine, and wheat.
It is beautiful.
So it was beautiful. And the design was kept secret. And it was such a big secret that they whitewashed the walls and like blacked out the windows so nobody could see in. So it was a huge secret. So if you watch The Crown, they did a really good job making a replica for Claire Foy when they showed the wedding in I guess it was the first season of The Crown. And then if you're interested in some other reading, Jennifer Robson wrote a book called The Gown. And it is, the main character is one of the embroidery seamstresses on the wedding dress. So, and it's one of my favorite books by Jen.
Is it a fiction?
It is. It is. And it's really neat because Jennifer is, well, she did an article for Time as well before it came out, but about doing the research for it and how she'd gone to England and was trying to she couldn't find anybody who had worked in that on the dress or whatever. And then one of the guys said, well, have you talked to, gosh, I forget her name now, but she didn't do the embroidery, but she did work on the dress. She was a seamstress, not an embroiderer. Anyway, she went to see her and was welcomed and got so much good research information. So that was really, really neat. So I highly recommend the gown. And there's also a book by Flora Harding called Before the Crown.
I was going to recommend that one.
Yeah. So I think those were the two that I'd probably recommend.
There's a sequel too that was like after the Crown, but I think she put out a sequel recently.
The People's Princess just came out.
That was it.
By Flora Harding. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I just thought, when you look at it and you think about that marriage lasted 73 years.
Yeah.
Like that's a long time. And I know, I mean, tabloids aside, but there had to be friction in that marriage. But I always kind of had the sense that they were always best friends. So
solidarity,
right?
Yep.
So anyway, so that was why I picked Elizabeth's.
Good one.
That was a good one too.
I don't think anybody's written Grace Kelly's story as a biography.
Yes, Kelly Merida has. Kelly Mayer. She did it. It's called The Girl in the Girl in the White Gown.
If you notice, the gowns are a little similar.
The Girl in the White Dress, or something like that. I have the book. Kelly Mayer did it, and she does it. And she goes into the wedding, and she talks about one of the fun facts that she puts in there is that Grace Kelly was one of the ones that helped give Josephine Baker
white gloves.
Girl in white gloves. That was it.
The Girl in White Gloves.
Josephine Baker needed a place to live towards the end of her life. And Grace Kelly arranged for her to be able to come to Monaco.
Love that.
So.
All right, Barb. What's your
wedding? All right, I'm going to go back further in time. All right, I'll be honest. I couldn't decide. I was originally, they talked me out of doing the conjoined twins.
I would have been, no, you talked yourself out of it. I would have loved that one.
But the Chang brothers, who were conjoined twins, did get married. And between them had between 17 and 21 kids. They married sisters. That's just was like a
about it, kind of.
Oh my! So I did I couldn't decide between the Lovings, which I posted about, which is not only iconic, but it was historically significant. And I thought, okay, let's post that up there so people remember it. Or one of the greatest love stories in the modern times, and that would be, I lost my page. Albert and Victoria.
Oh.
And I have to find my pictures again, because I have a lot of slides here, people that have to keep track. But anyways, Albert and Victoria, here we go.
We're picking royalty. We all picked royalty.
We did all pick royalty, which is supposed to, there we go. So some fun facts. Ready? They were married. He was Prince Albert, Crown Prince of Germany. They were married on February 10th, 1840. They were both 20 years old, and it is considered one of the greatest love matches of all time. They actually met 3 years earlier, and they immediately were smitten, love at first sight. But Victoria actually didn't think she was old enough to get married. She was just queen. She didn't think it was a good idea. So they waited, and they saw each other again 3 years later, and they were just as hot for each other.
I wonder if she'd describe it that way.
The fact they had 9 kids in 21 years. From what I understand,
actions speak louder than words.
So you may ask yourself, though, how did they know each other? How were they even in the same circle? Well, it's her Uncle Leopold was Albert's father. They were first cousins.
Yep.
This is fun because but this is the part. Here we go. Their marriage, because they were first cousins, led to a number of Victoria's descendants being hemophiliacs. Okay. One of those people was Alexandra of Hess. She carried the hemophilia gene. And Alexandra of Hess married Nicholas, Tsar of Russia. And their son, Alexei, was born a hemophiliac.
Right.
And there, if you remember from when we talked about the last Grand Duchess, it was the hiding of him and the reliance on Rasputin to help him through his hemophilia were some very prime reasons, or help, I shouldn't say prime reasons, but helped fuel the Russian Revolution.
Right. The anger toward the Tsar and the family.
Right. And because they were so removed because of Alexei's homophilia, that didn't help any. So it was a unintended consequence of Victoria and Albert's love affair was the Russian Revolution.
Overbreeding.
It happens.
Overbreeding.
That's it. So, all right. So let's talk about the gown, because Victoria did something that we still do today, and that is she wore white.
Was she the first one? Was she the
very first bride to wear white? And a lot of people think she did it as a symbol of her purity, but no, she did it because, and by the way, thanks to the Fashion Institute of Technology, because I got all this information from them, but it was made of lace. And the reason, all this is all white lace. And the reason she picked lace is because the lace industry in England was suffering at the time. So they thought if she wore lace, it might encourage other people to wear lace. The reason she wore white is so that she could be found in the crowd. So she was the first one to wear white, and she also banned anyone else from wearing white to detract from the bride, because you don't want to confuse people. If you're looking for the bride in the crowd, you want to find the one person wearing white. She was
tiny, wasn't she?
She was very tiny. So that was the reason for that. Her dress was made of cream silk and Honiton lace. It's got an 8-piece bodice with an off-the-shoulder neckline that's trimmed with lace, and the puffed sleeves, which have lace, and the skirt, which was 139 inches in circumference, had a lace flounce to it. So it had a lace layer at the bottom. It's not the lace, that particular lace bottom is so frayed that they don't put it out on display. When they display the dress, they're afraid it'll fall apart. So it's been taken off the original. This is what it looks like if you went to the Victoria and Albert Museum. But there would have been a little lace panel on the bottom. I'm pointing with my arrow that no one can see. But I told you people care. I'm pointing with my cursor.
Sorry, I didn't mean to snort.
And this is for those of you who watched our broadcast last broadcast. Barb was just fit to be tied with that wedding veil, because there's a scene where it's almost like this crazy caper where a grandmother, remember the grandmother?
Yeah, and they leave it outside.
Or running around with this.
Yeah. And they leave it on the doorstep?
Yeah.
Outside of the Biltmore. And Barb is just, no.
I know. I was 100-year-old lace. Be a little gentle.
Right? Like, don't put it in a bag and leave it there for somebody to find. Oh, my God.
Lay it out. Just maybe nobody will step on it, and surely no animal will come and get it.
Well, as always, the British do things properly, and they don't put it out.
You can always count on the British.
That's right. All right, so let's talk a minute, though, and she had a satin train that was 6 yards long.
Oh, nice.
So it was only 18 feet, but she had little people carrying it, little children carrying it. So now the accessories are interesting, because this was also, I thought, cool. Because as you see from this picture here, on the picture on the left, she did opt to accessorize. She didn't wear a veil. She did have a veil. It's in the back, the lace, just a lace veil. The necklace and the earrings are from Turkey. And then she had on her breast, she wore a diamond and sapphire brooch that Albert had made for her and snuck in and secretly gave to her the night before their wedding. And it was a 42-carat, oh, here we go. It's a 40-carat sapphire surrounded by 12 1-carat diamonds. So it's a big blue stone surrounded by diamonds.
How did that not pull her neckline right down to her navel? That's a heavy piece of
what
jewelry.
Other iconic royal piece of jewelry looks like that?
The Hope Diamond.
Hope Diamond.
Okay, I was going to go with Diana's engagement ring because that's
yes.
That's
I'm thinking big.
The brooch comes out a lot because Queen Elizabeth likes to wear it.
Mm.
So you'll see that frequently. Queen Elizabeth talks a lot with her jewelry. So I think on Victoria Day she frequently has it on. But it supposedly inspired Charles to design the engagement ring for Diana, which is now the one that Catherine, the Duchess of Cambridge, wears. So,
but wait a minute. Can we step back a second before you
absolutely
continue? Let's talk about old Albert there, good old Al. He sneaks into her room the night before the wedding only to give her the brooch, and I'm sure he just hopped back right out, right?
I'm sure he did too. The part where I go back to, they were hot for each other. I think they had a very passionate love affair.
Okay.
I think. Doesn't say that. They just said he gave it to her the night before the wedding. He secreted in. They're going to leave out probably, some canoodling. The first child, I don't know. So because of that, because she wanted to be simple. So, as she's wearing this giant diamonds and this brooch hanging her dress down over her breast, said she wanted to be simple and just wear little orange blossoms in her hair. And then she had, she didn't wear a crown. That was her big concession. To be simple, she opted out of crown. She did just.
She was already the queen, right?
What's that? Yeah,
she was already the queen. Okay.
Yeah, so she wanted to be simple, so she just wore orange blossoms, and then she had orange blossoms embroidered on her shoes.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because Elizabeth actually wore her grandmother's tiara. It was loaned to her.
Right, and then the thing with royal brides now is Elizabeth is the one that allows the choice of which that you can have. She comes out and says, "Okay, these are your choices of tiaras. You may pick one." And if you pay attention, like it's by rank how nice a tiara you get. So like Camilla, when they go to formal things, was like the big honking one now, and like Kate Middleton, Catherine has a smaller one, and that's why Meghan had a much smaller one because they went in order.
Yeah.
So and the queen,
Meghan's was like a headband.
Right, and I think it's it's because you're marrying the sixth. Oh, no, Kate, you get a little bigger one because you're marrying the first. It's. So Victoria and Albert were married for 21 years, and they had 9 children. So again, hot for each other.
One every other year.
That's it. So Albert died of typhoid fever.
Young.
21 years. He died young. He was in Ireland at the time. He had gone to Ireland because their eldest son, Albert, had caused a scandal by sleeping with an Irish actress. So he went to kind of do some damage control.
He was naughty, if I remember correctly.
He was very naughty. So Prince Albert, the husband, went to do some damage control, caught typhoid fever, and died. And Victoria never forgave her son. She blamed him for his rest of her life. She said, she blamed him and thought that if he had behaved himself and kept it in his pants, her husband would have lived.
That's so sad.
It is.
Again, I don't think that would be the terminology she used.
What's that?
Somehow,
that's what she said. Yes, she said, Albert.
It explains
it in your pants.
Does explain a lot about the coldness in the homes.
Yep. So she wore black after that, and she became isolated, wore widow's black for the rest of her life, and very seldom was seen in public. When she was, it was a big deal for her to come out. She mostly stayed in.
She laid out his clothes every day after he was gone.
I didn't know that. That's cool. So her dress goes on. I said her dress goes on exhibit. The only 2 pieces that aren't included, I said, are the lace flounce because it was rotting. The veil covered Victoria's face when she was in the casket and was buried with her, along with Albert's dressing gown. So the veil has been lost to history, as has the pattern, because after the lace was created for her gown, the pattern for the lace was burned and destroyed on purpose so that no other person would ever wear the same lace pattern again. So if they lose any of that dress, it's gone for history. So I thought that
doesn't sound much like privilege at all.
I thought it was cool that she was buried with his veil. I mean that's
the dressing gown is. I mean, it does speak to the devotion that they had for each other.
It does. It does. She, and if you've ever watched the PBS show Victoria, she could have had James Purefoy, but but if she did, but Albert was her true love. So we have a couple other wedding pictures that we can critique, and then we're going to play a quick round of this or that, and we hope that people viewing will rate it.
I love this. Other wedding gowns that we can critique. Okay.
No, you don't want to call it that? Just for that, I will put mine up first. How's that?
Okay.
Okay, so here we go.
Oh my.
Vintage 1989.
Big shoulder broad.
Yep, I think it was Demetrios. Was that the big designer in the 80s?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. No train. I skipped the train because it had this big long satin train, and I said I was already going with the dynasty look to begin with.
Yeah, you kind of did.
Huge padded shoulders.
Oh yeah.
And then no veil because I couldn't find a veil I liked, no matter how much I tried. So I just ended up wearing a cap of flowers. And there is my sweetie. We are still married, so.
It looks like he's wearing almost a morning suit rather than.
He is wearing a morning suit. We got married at 10 a.m., so he is wearing a morning suit.
I love it. I love it.
And he'll hate me for saying it, but he's about 30 pounds heavier.
Tell me about the flowers.
The flowers were lilies and baby's breath.
Okay.
And and I had flats on because that was Peter, who never minds if I wear high heels. That was the one day he didn't. He said, I would like to not be taller than
get that.
Other than that, he has been all right with it. So, and my other fun story is when I was walking down the aisle, I looked for the picture and it wasn't in my album. My father walked me down the aisle and everyone was looking at me. So it was a nervous wreck. And my father turned and he goes, they're staring at us. You know why? I look damn good. And so after that, I was fine for the rest of the wedding. So, all right. Well, then we also have, more 80s wonder. No, 90s.
90s, 95. Bite your tongue.
The hair is bigger than the sleeves, I think.
Okay, so funny story. I knew my mom would hate it, but I wanted an updo. And so it basically is all individual curls pinned into place because hello, curly hair. So when we got to the honeymoon suite that night and we're getting ready for bed, I had to take all the pins out. And Daryl held out his hands and we counted them. And I'm sure that during the day and then like dancing and everything, I must have lost some. 76 bobby pins came out of my hair. So yes. And I'm wearing my mama's pearls.
Oh, that's nice.
And my dress is, it's full length sleeves. It's lined all the way through. We got married in October, middle of October. So I thought it's a heavier gown, but I should be fine. It's the middle of October. And it was like 80 degrees that day. So I was super hot. But we had a really good time. We were so young. Oh my God. I was 23 there.
Well, and then we'll go to then.
Oh, and I did have a veil. It was just anchored in behind.
Oh, good. And there we are, Mark and Renee. I wore a Southern Belle hat.
Yes, you did.
And those were Keller lilies.
Yep.
Keller lilies.
What year was that, Renee?
It was 1996. It was our second marriage, both of us. We've been married since. So, do you do the math? And we were still young. I mean, I think I was still 20s, maybe, certainly not much older. And I think we didn't have a photographer. I think I was teaching high school at the time. He was living, my family called me the mail order bride. He was living in Iowa. I was still that's actually in Florida, Tallahassee, where we got married. And I want to say that is a snapshot from one of those Kodak Instant cameras
that you put on everybody's table at the reception.
That was our wedding picture. I mean, and it just shows you that, and I won't get too heavy into it, but my first wedding, it was a spectacular large wedding, you know, lots of money. And I think the marriage lasted 3 years. And then this one, I mean, it was shoestring budget. And we actually had the money that, you know, it wasn't that. It was just, okay, we're just doing this because both of our parents wanted us to have a wedding in a church. But as far as we were concerned, it was like, let's do this and be done. So
were your kids in the wedding?
Yes, Hillary was my bridesmaid and Daniel was his best man. And I wish I had a picture of, I'm sure I do. it's buried somewhere where they were both in the wedding. And that's a linen top and chiffon bottom, no lace. No, I think the ribbon was really, the ribbon on the waist matched the ribbon on the hat. I mean, it was pretty simple.
All right.
And it was a size 4. I can't wear a size 4 anymore.
No, I couldn't fit into my wedding gown anymore either. I think I was a size 6. And the lady goes, "Oh, we have to take the behind out."
Your badonkadonk?
Words I've heard my whole life. So, all right. So we're going to play a little game called This or That. All right? Okay. You can tell me, which one you prefer, A or B. If you're playing it, people can play at home, the people who are watching.
B.
How about you, Donna?
A.
I like A too. I think A is my favorite too.
Okay, what's next?
All right. How about A or B?
B.
I say A.
I mean, they're both floofy ball gowns.
Yeah, they are both floofy go.
I like A doesn't have sleeves. Am I right?
Yes, it does. It's strapless, but then it's got kind of a lace.
That lace overlay.
The other one is almost more of a cap sleeve, so I definitely prefer A.
I don't mind a cap sleeve if they're off the shoulder cap sleeves. I think they can look really cute.
Yeah. If you have any size shoulder, a cap sleeve just makes you look like a linebacker.
That would be
me. True. I like B, I think. All right, let's see. I think I have one more.
So far, I am completely different from the rest of you.
That's all right.
Let's see. Oops. I might have put this up twice, so hold on.
I hear clicking.
You hear clicking and you hear Barb having technical issues. Of course.
Knew it was going to happen.
That's it. Oh, and it was pretty too. I had 2 pretty ones. I showed them to other people the other day, but it's apparently freezing on it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know. So we'll have to go back to us. All right. Unfortunately, this or that was short because of that. But indoor or outdoor wedding?
It depends. So outdoor, I love outdoor, but you're so dependent on the weather. But it depends on the couple though, too, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's whatever suits.
Good. My other question was rustic or formal?
Rustic.
Formal. Okay, so again, it depends on the couple. Because like I was thinking about this, and my niece got married a few years ago, and like they had the perfect wedding for them, and it was very rustic, and it was outside and very low key, very like sunflowers and that kind of sort of what we call country chic. But
that's what my son's wedding was.
Yeah, but it suited like even more rustic than that. But it suited the couple really like well. But I think my favorite ones that I've been to have been very like little twinkle lights and pretty flowers. And so, yeah, I'm kind of a more like formal but intimate kind of vibe for me.
So my daughter's was, I call it like the perfect Pinterest wedding. And it was like what you're talking about, Donna. It had some really quirky stuff, but it was very elegant, very very them, but it was also with the twinkly lights, but like these big, massive white balloons that I've never seen anywhere with lace. And it was just so well, and they're both very artistic. So I'll put pictures up maybe from their wedding just so you can see. And the little flower girl carried like one of those radio flyers.
Oh, cute.
With a little, and it was, but the way that they had it decorated, it was just all just really well thought out. So I would say, instead of formal or rustic, I would say unique to the couple.
That would work.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, by the way, the people playing at home, the majority, they voted for with us, Donna.
Well,
you are the outlier
one with style here.
Listen, anyone looking to me as a style guru is barking up the wrong tree. I'm just saying.
When you mentioned Pinterest, there's an article that went around a couple of years ago, and it was called "Pinterest Ruined My Wedding." Because the woman's like, I kept finding things on Pinterest, and she was like getting upset because she had to have this and she had to have that, and it was all craft stuff.
Yeah,
it's a very funny article about how Pinterest ruined her wedding.
I believe it. I'll have to look that one up.
Well, this was fun. Appreciate you guys showing up a day later. Oh, someone else said rustic too.
The wedding was booked in the bookstore.
Oh, that must be Sue. Oh my God, that sounds so much fun.
Genius.
I love it. I love a wedding booked in a bookstore. What a great idea.
Sue was saying at book club last week that they've booked a wedding at the bookstore.
That is a fantastic idea.
And by the way, I attended an amazing Vegas wedding that was actually put on by Caesar's Palace, and it was so incredible. It was small. It was like maybe 30 people. It was probably the classiest wedding I have ever been to.
Nice.
Super formal. You think of Vegas as, Elvis and the wedding chapel. Those hotels put on amazing destination weddings. So just a FYI.
Well, it's funny because the wedding that I think back on as being like my favorite wedding I've ever been to, there were like maybe 10 of us and like in attendance, and it was in the parlor of like a historic house, and the couple got married, and then we all went to Tony Roma's and had lunch, and then like it was so low key, but it was so beautiful and intimate, and I loved it. And then I've been to other weddings where it was at a big hotel and no expense spared, and it just didn't have the same feeling. So I really think it's
too formal can feel really cold.
Yeah, and or it can feel like it's a big show, but not a lot of substance. So I don't know. I just kind of like things to be intimate and emotional and suit the couple. And so before we go, I have a question. What are we all reading right now?
I'm reading The Lost Summers of Newport.
Okay, Renee?
I literally just finished yesterday, Fast Girls, about the 1936 women's Olympic track team. So I just finished it. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to read next, but that was my last one. I might read Fallen, I think it is. I found out by one of our book influencers that's going to be with us in August. And it's about a pilot it's a suspense, and he's flying the airplane, and he gets a phone call from somebody who's kidnapped his daughter, and says to him, basically, crash the plane or your daughter's dead.
That sounds good.
And so that's the premise.
So I
read that one.
Eliza Knight's The Mayfair Bookshop.
That is in my to-be read pile.
Yeah. So that's what
the next one I'm going to read is a book called The Measure, which was recommended to me.
Oh, that's on my list.
It comes out on Tuesday, and I pre-ordered it, and it's one morning everyone wakes up who's 22 or older, and they find a box on their front step, and in it is a piece of string, and the length of the string is how long you have left on the planet, and you can't change it. It's not something that you like. It's not like Dickens' Christmas Carol where you can change your ways. You got what you got is what you got. And it's all about what you do with that time left. What do you do if you have a long string? What if you do have a short string? And it follows 8 people as they're throughout their lives. And she said it's very philosophically profound.
Cool.
So it's called The Measure. I will let you know.
All right. And what do we got up next month?
Well, you tell us, Donna.
Oh, next month's my month, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Oh my gosh, and I don't think I wrote down the date, but July. What date did we say?
July 7th, I believe, or 8th.
Yeah,
No,
so whatever the Tuesday is of that
14,
week.
Is it July 12th? Or
Yes.
19?
Yes. Anyway, it's going to be the 3 of us because we are going to wait and have our off the shelf segment on the 26th. And
that is Madeline Miller's the librarian spy.
Yeah, Madeline Martin. Yeah.
Madeline Martin, sorry. Madeline
yes, the librarian spy on the 26th. And that's also her release day. So I'm really excited about doing it that day. And then so the 2 weeks prior to that, whatever the date is, that Tuesday, we're going to talk about our workspaces and our sort of our writing rituals. So it should be kind of neat.
The 12th.
The 12th.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. It should be kind of neat because like you're looking at one of my favorite spots to work right now, which is on my deck. So, but I have other spots too and different sort of rituals. So we'll just get a little tour of each other's sort of writing spot and what works for us.
That'll be fun.
And plans are underway for August, so mark your calendar. We don't have a date yet, but we will be doing on Step in the Story. Oh, we have the book stuff, but we're also doing an online thing because somebody is turning 50 and we're throwing a birthday party and the gifts are for you people. So we're having a little party online. We're going to be giving out books.
Who's turning 50? That sounds like baloney.
So we're celebrating Donna's 50th birthday in August. And we are also doing, for the book, we're doing Vanessa Riley's Warrior Sister Wife. Did I do the right order?
No, Sister, Mother, Warrior.
I am very sorry, Vanessa. I am looking forward to reading the book. I'm sorry.
Vanessa Riley, and we have Kelly from our Instagram friend.
Tells us booked up.
Yep.
And it's the book had, despite the fact that I screwed up the name, the book is on all the must-read lists for the summer. We're really looking forward to it.
And
She
we
wrote
really
Island
liked her
Queen, which
first
was
book.
my favorite book of the year last year. So very excited. So
So
that's
now
it.
I'm all excited about his birthday party.
Well, and if you want to get really excited, in December, we're going to be highlighting my release, The Secret
We're going to have a
Society.
release party for you.
There's going to be a party, and it's going to involve both of them involve cake and alcohol and books.
I think we should
Books
make
going to
parties
the
a
people
regular
who are
thing.
visiting with us.
I love it. Yes, we'll do a bunch of toasts, and we'll let our viewers give us some great things to talk about. But yes,
think we should
party.
I think we should find more excuses to have parties.
That's it.
I agree.
So, okay, that's our resolution. Starting in August, we're doing Donna's. So thank you all for coming. This is one of our longer episodes. We really appreciate you guys sticking around. Those of you who are watching after the fact, we really appreciate it. You can watch it on in our Facebook group, Step Into the Story. It's facebook.book.com/Step Into the Story. Or have cake as a regular thing. All right, Sue, I like you. Or you can watch us on YouTube. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next week or 2 weeks. Bye-bye.